So, you're in the market for a new car, huh? And you're probably seeing that the choice between an EV and a hybrid is, well, it's getting more complicated. There's just so much hype out there. So, let's cut through all that noise. We're going to dive into a real-world, no-nonsense guide to help you figure out what actually makes sense for your life in 2025 and 2026.
You know, this whole thing really starts with a feeling I bet we can all relate to. You're not trying to start a revolution in your garage, right? You just want a car that works. No drama, no surprise costs. And that one simple idea, that's what kicks off this whole explainer.
And here it is, the moment that just forces your hand. For the person whose story we're following, it was a massive, totally unexpected $2,800 repair bill on a trusty 10-year-old Honda Accord. I mean, that's the kind of bill that just stops you in your tracks and makes you rethink, well, everything.
So what happens next is pretty surprising, even to him. Look, he didn't suddenly become this big climate activist overnight. He just got fed up with the old way of doing things, you know? The constant gas station trips, the noise, the never-ending repairs. So he made a totally practical leap, straight to a Tesla Model Y.
And get this, after 16 months, the upsides were just undeniable. A 70% drop in fuel costs, that's massive. Plus, you've got the silent, smooth ride and the fact that the car is literally getting smarter with every software update. Those are real, tangible benefits you feel every day.
But, and this is the crucial point, this whole EV lifestyle, as great as it was for him, would be a complete non-starter for his cousin back in Lahore or his friend in Peshawar. And why is that? It's simple. The charging infrastructure is either unreliable or just plain doesn't exist. And that right there perfectly illustrates the main idea here. The best car isn't universal. It's all about your personal situation.
Okay, so let's zoom out from this one personal story and look at the bigger picture. Because we really are at a turning point right now. The next couple of years, they're going to completely change the car buying game, which makes this decision more important than it's ever been.
And what's so interesting right now is this tension in the market. On one hand, you've got EVs that are finally growing up. We're seeing more choices, better tech, and they're not just for the super rich anymore. But on the other hand, hybrids are making a huge comeback. Why? Well, automakers are a little nervous. And honestly, for a lot of people, a hybrid is just the more practical choice right now.
All right, so let's go window shopping, shall we? What are you actually going to see when you walk into an EV showroom in the next year or two? We're talking about real cars you can test drive, not just futuristic concepts. First up, let's look at the high end of town. You've got absolute monsters, like the upcoming all-electric Porsche Cayenne. I mean, we're talking 1,000 horsepower, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. That's supercar speed in an SUV. This isn't just a car, it's a declaration of what's possible, pushing the technology to its absolute limit.
Okay, back down to earth. Not everyone needs or can afford a 1,000 horsepower rocket ship. So let's get practical. The refreshed Subaru Solterra is a perfect example of an EV built for a real-world lifestyle. It's got that rugged, all-wheel drive Subaru DNA for people who love the outdoors. This is all about making EV tech work for you, not just for the racetrack.
Now this might be one of the most important new EVs coming out. For years, there's been this huge gap in the market, a real 3-row electric SUV for families. Well, the Hyundai Ioniq 9 is aiming to fill that gap. This isn't just another model, it's a potential game changer that could open up EV ownership for so many families who've been waiting on the sidelines.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about hybrids, because they are not just sitting on the sidelines. Don't think of them as old tech. They're evolving, they're getting smarter, and for a whole lot of people, they might just be the most intelligent choice you can make right now.
And really, the star of this hybrid comeback is the plug-in hybrid, or PHEV. It's kind of genius, actually. It directly tackles the biggest fear people have about EVs, range anxiety. You get to do all your short trips, your daily commute, on pure electric power. But for those long road trips, you've got a gas engine as a backup. It's the best of both worlds, with zero anxiety.
Just look at the 2025 Subaru Forester Hybrid. Its killer feature is a single number that EV owners can only dream about. A total range of over 600 miles on one tank. Think about that. That's the kind of freedom that means you can go on a road trip or live way out in the country and never, ever have to worry about finding a charger.
And this isn't just happening here. It shows how hybrids are adapting all over the world.
There's a fascinating rumor about what's being called the Pakistani Prius, basically a super affordable and reliable Suzuki hybrid. It's being designed specifically for a market where charging stations are few and far between. It's just a perfect example of building a smart, practical car for actual real-world conditions.
Okay, time for the main event. Let's put EVs and hybrids head-to-head. No hype, just the real-world facts side by side.
So let's break this down point by point. First up, range. EVs are great for daily driving. We're talking 250 to 400 miles. But hybrids, they give you that massive 500-plus mile safety net with the gas engine. Next, cost. It's a trade-off. EVs cost more to buy, but they're way cheaper to run. Hybrids are cheaper up front, but you're still paying for gas. Then there's charging. It's a daily thought for EV owners, and public chargers can be hit or miss. For a hybrid, it's pretty much a non-issue. Performance? EVs definitely win on that instant, silent speed. Hybrids are smooth and efficient, but just not as thrilling. And finally, maintenance. EVs have fewer moving parts, so fewer repairs. Hybrids still have an engine, so you've still got oil changes and all that.
So, what does all that data tell us? Pretty simple, actually. An EV is probably your winner if your life looks like this. You live in a city or a suburb, you've got a place to charge at home every night, and what you really care about is cutting down on those monthly running costs.
But what about the other side of the coin? Well, a hybrid is probably the smarter choice for you. If you're constantly driving long distances, if you live somewhere you can't install a charger, like an apartment building, or even if you're in a really cold climate where EV batteries can lose a chunk of their range.
So, where does this all leave us? It's time for the final verdict. And here's the honest truth. The right answer isn't about which car is better in a magazine. The answer is found by looking at your life. So let's forget the hype and ask a few simple questions.
First things first, and this is the big one. Do you have a reliable place to charge at home? Seriously, if the answer to that is no, then the whole EV conversation gets a lot more complicated. This is really the foundation of the whole decision.
Okay, question number 2. Be honest with yourself about how you drive. How often do you actually go on long road trips that go way beyond a typical EV's range? Your answer to this one is going to tell you if range anxiety is something you'll genuinely have to deal with, or if it's just something you're worried about in theory.
And finally, let's talk about the money. What's your real-world budget look like? Can you swing a higher price tag up front for an EV to get those long-term savings on gas and maintenance? Or does a lower sticker price on a hybrid just make more sense for your finances right now?
You know, let's just end with this simple idea, because it really says it all. The best car isn't necessarily the greenest or the fastest or the one with all the hype. It's just the one that gets you where you need to go day in and day out with no drama. So really, the only question you need to answer is which one of these technologies actually fits the reality of your life.